Welcome, welcome. Happy Tuesday, everybody. I'm Trisha Dyka, and I am super excited today. We are doing another Create Lasting Change episode, and I am being joined today by Teresa, and I am super excited because we're going to be talking about enthusiastically embracing spirituality, and that could mean so much to so many people. And before we got on, we just started talking about empaths and energy, so I would love to bring that up and share with you guys as well. But first, let me introduce her, and then we're going to start our call. So, Teresa Shantz is on a personal mission to support others in embracing the spiritual part of their journey. As an extremely sensitive person, she walked through a large portion of her life not understanding how sensitive she was to the energies around her. From autoimmune disease to debilitating psoriasis, her path eventually led her to reawakening past lives and understanding how to work with her energy field. In June of 2023, Teresa published her first book, The Soul Quake Survival Guide, Reviving Your Connection to Spirit in Earth-Shaking Times. This lifetime, she served in the U.S. Air Force, a full-time homemaker mom, massage therapist, healer, and now a full-time podcaster and author. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much, Trisha. And you know what? Whenever someone reads your bio, you're like, crap, have I really done all that? You know what I'm saying? It's like these lifetimes we pack in a lot and you just forget sometimes of all the things you do until someone reads your bio. So thank you for that lovely introduction. It's wonderful to be here today.
Yes, yes, I'm so excited. So where do you want to start? Embracing spirituality or talking about, because somebody who's an empath as well, like there is so much. If you don't understand your own energy, it can be a shit show.
Without a doubt, and you and I were just connecting about that before we started recording, that there's so much going on right now all the time, and there always is, but it seems like right now energetically we're at this heightened state where, of course, that's why we're all here right now, right? There's like what, is there all 9 billion people on the planet? Like, we're here for this show, and that's why I'm so excited about it, enthusiastic. But if you don't understand about that, you're an energy being first foremost, that you're going to have some problems because there's so much flowing in and out all the time. And I know for myself and for my husband, Tom, we live and breathe and, and embrace our spirituality and who we are as spiritual beings. And we're constantly at, I don't want to say conflict, but we have to really keep aware and discern what we're feeling, what we're picking up night and day all the time. So yeah, it's really game on right now, Trisha.
It's really a big level of self-awareness, discernment, understanding your own energy so you know when you immediately pick up something, it's not yours. And then having, like we were discussing, clearing methods, grounding methods, all of these things are part of your self-care daily to, when people say to me, I'm an empath, I can't do things. And I'm like, no, you're an empath. You just need to figure it out. You just need to understand your energy. And once you do, all of these dominoes just fall into place and you are able to go to the malls. You're able to do things that you initially thought you were unable to because you didn't understand that overwhelm of energy.
Absolutely. And I like the way you said that because of the fact that, as spiritual beings, we're actually all empaths. We're just awakened at different levels. So that's why I wrote my book, The Soul Quake Survival Guide, because I've gone through so many times in my life that weird instances and like you said, been sick. I've gotten, psoriasis and different things that have happened to me from energy and from the environments, people I'm around. And so understanding and having, like you said, tools, and that's what I offer in the book. I have some cleansing techniques and different things that you can access that may work for you because, like you're saying, Trisha, there's stuff everywhere, right? I mean, there's all kinds of tools, techniques, and it's really, what do you resonate with? And all of them are fine, but it's just, what do you resonate with and what works for you? Sage doesn't work so much for me. It did a long time ago. It doesn't anymore. Crystals, I still have crystals in my house, but I really work with a certain technique. But it really is up to each individual and finding the pathway that works for them. That's a key thing.
It is key. And I'm glad you brought up Sage because I think when we're all starting out, we all go to Sage because we hear it's so good. But what I want people to understand and would love your input on this, as we up level and as we grow and expand those tools that worked for us, are no longer as effective as they once were.
Okay, I'm filled with chills, which means that is 100% spot on, Trisha. Yeah, and yeah, I agree with that 100% because it doesn't cut it for me anymore. And it's really that, and for myself, it's that direct connection with my spiritual team that supports me, and then I work with the energies that that I have, and understanding what's coming in, what's going out, how do I feel at this moment. And so I totally 100% agree. It just depends on where you're at, and everyone's exactly where they need to be. So no one is higher, lesser, or anything. If you're out there using sage or any of those things, that's fine. Rock on. Whatever works for you at this moment, because like you said, it's changing and shifting all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember this is going back, wow, many years ago. I still have sage. Who am I kidding?
Mhm,
I still have sage.
mhm,
I
mhm,
will use it once in a while,
mhm.
but the things that work best for me are tools that I'm constantly changing and tweaking. And so exactly, if sage is working for you now, keep using sage. And you'll know, and I would love for you to respond to this. What are the signs when you need to start tweaking and changing and up leveling your tools because they're no longer as effective?
Right. I think it's as simple as like you just said, like if this isn't working anymore, it's time to find something else. And again, there's so much out there, and it's individual. Like, I mean, like I used sage for quite a while, like you might have, right? And again, I still have some in my house too, but it just doesn't cut it anymore because of just where I'm at energetically. And it's okay.
Mhm. Yeah, I love trying. Like I have a grounding ball.
Mhm.
It's
Right.
filled with
Yes.
sand and it's got some really pretty shells
Mhm.
and some other things that I
Mhm.
connect with and I
Yeah.
like it and it's on my
Mhm.
desk. So
Absolutely
yeah,
beautiful.
yeah, exactly. That was something quick and easy that
Mhm.
worked for me. Can you share some quick and easy tools? And then I really want to delve into this topic of embracing our spirituality and what does that look like and how that is.
Well, again, I do have a technique in my book that I do use. That's just like cleansing the aura. So that's one thing. That's my primary go-to right now because it works with my spiritual helpers. So that is my go-to. But again, like if you look behind me, I've got a big old selenite. I mean, I've got my stuff. I have my crystals in different places in my house, and they're, as you can see, a big ass crystal, Trisha. So that's not a little puppy back there, but and and plus I just love the way they look and the way they feel. So and yeah. So those are some things that I use, and like I said, individually, everyone has their own go-tos, right?
I also want to note that I saw a salt lamp back there as
Yes,
well.
yes, ma'am. Got my salt lamps all over the house.
So do I. I love it. I love
I
them.
just love their
Yes,
feel. They're so wonderful.
yes, yes,
Yeah.
they really are. I enjoy them. And you're right. It's really about trying crystals. Like I'll go into a crystal store and I'll only if I don't not call to a crystal, I just walk away.
Yeah, exactly. Hmm.
I feel called to pick it up, play with it, and then I'm like, is this something that I want to bring home? Is this,
Right.
there is so many. I wish I could turn my camera around, but it's a mess. But between the crystals and the little bowls and the different things,
Hmm.
even colors, like
Yeah, right.
colors. So like all
Hmm.
my post-it notes are everywhere because they're so
Hmm.
colorful. So
Yeah.
these things, really are working for me. But I again, I want to talk about embracing spirituality. What does that mean? What does that look like? And for somebody, how would you tell somebody to start to embrace their spirituality? A lot of questions.
Yeah. Okay. Let's start there. Let's start at the very beginning, like Maria, right? Bring a little song and dance in here. Well, for myself, and I've really been thinking a lot about this. Also, I'm getting ready to do some keynote speaking on this. So, everyone talks about mind, body, spirit, but I feel it should be spirit, body, mind, because we start with the spirit, and that is our essence that comes into these bodies. And then while we're in these bodies, we then develop our mind so we know and can understand what we're experiencing and what we're going through while we have these journeys. So the word enthusiasm, I've looked it up, and it means like it's of God, like it's your essence. So it's a beautiful word that Spirit gave me years ago when I was starting the podcast. I was like, what do I call it? They're like enthusiastically spiritual. I'm like, okay. And honestly, Trisha, it resonated with me. And so everyone has got their words that resonate, right? And So for myself, I believe that no one's not on their path, that we're all obviously a spiritual being. But
Mhm.
what are you here to explore? What are you here to experience? So for myself, I know I've had many lifetimes, and I've had a lot of them come up this lifetime for healing and awareness of understanding what I've been through. And some people haven't, but I believe we reincarnate over and over here and play different roles. And so during these time frames, like this time, I'm here to embrace sharing about the spiritual part of who you are. And
Mm.
that's my mission. Everyone's got their mission. And so to say to someone, when is my spiritual, awakening going to happen or whatever, it may already have happened. I mean, who knows what you are here to experience? And that's only you know that answer. So for me, when I went to massage therapy school at 38 is when I really started understanding more and really opening up more to my spiritual journey. And then I had some really key moments that happened. I was like, whoa, what is this about? And then, Trisha, right? I see you nodding your head. And that's how it started for me. But for each person, it's individual. So the enthusiasm that I've had my whole life has really been from getting from point A to point B to point C to point D. And so like that pathway, right? And I believe each person, again, is not off their path ever. We sometimes, divert a bit. We might take a little off ramp to go to the mall and then get back on the highway. But it's all just part of the journey. And those off ramps, those detours really enable us to explore more of life and meet different people that we may not have met before. So that's my version of what enthusiastically and spiritual means and the pathway. So I hope that answers some of your questions, Trisha.
Yes, absolutely. It's
Okay.
interesting that you were saying that because um for me years ago, I remember I lived in Florida, so my spiritual journey really started down in Florida. I you know, all different things I was trying. And I had tried Reiki in Florida.
Mhm.
I loved it. So when I moved back
Mhm.
to New York, I kept hearing Reiki, Reiki. I'm like, all right, I'll find a Reiki, specialist. I'll go. And then I kept hearing no. And I'm like, okay, like what now? And then I ended up going on the journey of becoming a Reiki master. And since then I am a master of 3 different Reikis, ended up in IET, access consciousness, and it just exploded my energy like wide open. It was like, oh wow, there's a whole other world around. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I feel that is what it is. It's like we just come across these points in our lifetime where it's like that opens up or that opens up. And
Mm,
I love I'm also a Reiki master, which I just became a practitioner last year. And I took Reiki back when I was in went to massage therapy school. So it's been years. But then again, it called me like you, like it's just hearing those calls. It's moving when the timing is right for you individually. And knowing that, again, there's no bad paths. It's just, okay, I'm exploring this now. I'm exploring that. And it's just an addition to what we're here to explore and be a part of in a soul essence.
yeah. And there's so many paths we can take. And there's so many, I think it's more, let's try this, let's try that. What really calls to me, what resonates to me, things that I did years ago. Now I'm like, I'm okay. I enjoyed that then and I had fun with it and I'm okay where I'm at now. So I find that I'll get into something, delve into it, learn about it, and then just move on, understanding the principles of it
Yeah.
and bringing it forward. But the one thing I really wanted to that you brought up and that it is hearing the information, how people get their information, because so many, myself included, where I would hear stuff and I'm like,
Mhm.
not really sure who's talking to me, but that sounds crazy. Really?
Yeah, no, I hear you. So, and the work that have done in the last couple of years is I believe there's 4 gifts, and there's all kinds of people having, more than 4, but I work with just 4. So there's the clear hearing, the clear
Mm,
seeing, getting a picture, the clear knowing, and the clear feeling. And so each of us has a gift that we use first. So mine is clairaudience. So I get that hearing. I may get it through a song. I may like really get the hearing. And there's just different variations, but we all, I believe, have these four gifts. And so my thing is really, Trisha, is not discounting any of your gifts. So they come in an order, or they come in, they come in fast a lot of times. And sometimes you can pick them up and a lot of times we don't. And I mean, there are thousands of impressions every day that we receive from spirit or source or God or whatever you want to work with. But it's really just having the ability to go, oh, what am I feeling? Or, oh, I got that knowing. And so a lot of people just say it or know it or experience it without going, oh, that's my spiritual part. Because see, we're labeling it, right? Which is okay, because that's the avenue that I'm going down to share with people, is that this is the spiritual part, but you don't have to label it. I mean, people all the time have experiences, and they just, and a lot of times, unfortunately, it scares them. I think that's a lot of from, like some movies and things out there that, witchcraft and scary stuff and whatever, right? And of course there is a darker side to everything. There's light and dark, but the fact is that to just own the fact that you're a spiritual being, that you have got these abilities within you, and you can either access them or you can ignore them, and they're going to keep at you. Right, Trisha? That's a good
Yeah,
way to put it. They're going to keep at you.
going to. So I like to do something called like guidance writing. So like I'll, write, I'll ask some questions, and I'll ask some questions, usually shut my book, or I'll ask some questions out loud and just, go on with my day. And I remember asking something. And the next day or 2 days later, I was in the shower. I'm like, I haven't really gotten an answer to that. I really would like it. I'm like having a conversation in my head. Interestingly enough, the response was, we gave you the answer through your friend. And I'm like, I stopped and I'm like, oh. So
Interesting.
yes, because sometimes I think we forget signs and answers come through every different avenue. So now I'm even more self-aware. So if I'm going to ask questions, like, all right, I'm asking this question, so I'm going to see who's coming into my area, who's coming in,
Mhm.
who's speaking to me, what are they saying? And anytime you ask and you're open, and I would love to hear for you to share with people how to be open, because so many of us have shut down, or we shut down because, like you said, we are scared. We're uncertain about what's coming through. Is it for me? Is it true? How do I really believe this? And all of these questions that we torment ourselves with.
A lot of it, I think, Trisha, is just to keep it simple.
Mhm.
And one thing I want to share, like, yeah, it's, also comes through in synchronicities, right? Like things that happen, or spirit will put something in a way, you're like, whoa, I see that car with the numbers, or the billboard with the sign. Like literally, it's these little things. And so, and just recognizing that, they come in different ways. And so, okay, to the intuition part, so I work with the way it's feel, think, act. So the first thing is what am I feeling? And Trisha, a lot of people have a problem with the feeling, right? We
Mhm.
get feelings all the time, but our bodies sometimes they're holding a lot of weight, which is a buffer, and or trauma, which is another buffer. And so these areas that to really embrace more and to truly understand and to have more awareness of how you receive impressions, some of these things have got to be worked on, right? And that's again back to the spirit, body, mind. It all goes together, and keeping it in balance the best you can, because I believe me, I know a lot of people. I've heard horrific stories of what people have been through this lifetime and other lifetimes we bring in with us. And so, it's step by step, and it's really just keeping it simple. I think there's too much intellectual knowledge about spirituality, when it's like, no, it's freaking simple. It's really, we put too much pressure
Yeah.
on ourselves, guys. It's like, come on, relax about it, be okay, and you'll get insight, you'll start connecting. But you do have to believe, you do have to trust,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Those are two things that have to be worked on, because we do. It's trusting, it's believing, it's knowing there is something bigger outside than we are. It's whatever you want to call it, God, source, universe, the God
Mhm.
within.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so, and that's another thing too, is, and what is your beliefs? Did you come in this lifetime with religious concepts and religious overtones, which is of course outside of ourselves? Maybe it's time, maybe that's what you come in to break through that. So everyone is unique and different. And, and I honor, I hate to say it, the namaste, right? Like the light in me honors the light in you, but really it does, Trisha. It's such a beautiful statement because when we can honor each other, no matter where we're at, no matter what we're going through, I think we could all move through the world a little bit better and a little bit with more grace and ease, because there's so much animosity, there's so much competition, there's so much all this stuff. It's like, no, we don't need that. Well, I guess we need it to grow in some ways, but there's an overloading of it right now, right?
Yes, Teresa, there is an
Mhm.
overloading of it.
Mhm.
But I do love the light in me sees the light in you. Yes, that's that, because you know what? Everybody, every single one of us has love within. We all do. You connect with the people and then you move on. It doesn't, everybody's got their different growth levels. Everybody's got their different times, like you said, to be involved in their spirituality. And I bet you so many people have gone through things and they have no idea.
Oh, without a doubt, girl, without
Mm.
a doubt. I mean, I was like that too. I was going through all kinds of stuff my whole life. Like when I went in the military, I went into the military, and then they asked you, where do you want to go? And I said, oh, Germany, Guam. I've never thought of going to Germany. Well, my past life was in Germany. So where did I go? Right back to Germany to do a bunch of healing. And was really sick while I was over there because I was experiencing and probably processing things that I had no idea about, right?
Mhm.
But so yeah, so these journeys are pretty amazing with the places and the things we encounter, and how we move through it as and get through it, I should say too, because it's not easy sometimes.
Yes, interesting you say that. I, as a child, wanted to have a snake as a pet. My mother, absolutely not. But uh, I don't know what happened about 13, 14, 15. I had this tremendous fear. So I moved to Florida, and lo and behold, guess who is all over the place? People are like, I've never seen a snake in Florida. Meanwhile, me, no, no, no. They were everywhere. And I remember going to a practitioner. I do not recall what she was a practitioner of, but she said, in a past life, you got bitten by a snake and it killed you. And it must have been at like that point where I went from wanting it as a pet to severe fear.
Mhm.
It's gotten a lot better. I still do not want a pet. But it's very interesting how things like that do come into our lives.
Absolutely. And I think that's the complexity sometimes of the spiritual part of who we are, because there are so many layers, just like anything, right? There's just layer upon layer. And so depending upon what layers you've unfolded and you've, broken through the next layer. So I believe too, like some people are like, oh, when are you going to ascend this lifetime or get to the final, no more, nothing else to work on. I'm like, are you kidding me? Trisha, till the end, girl. This is like constant, like, and that's why we're here doing all this work right now too, because this is the most amazing time to be on the planet, to experiencing the energies, and to have accessibility to all these beautiful practitioners, body workers, healers that are here to support us and back us to heal what we've been traumatized and holding on for a millennial, right?
Yes, Teresa. It's interesting that you say that because so many people, I find in my experience, that it's like they see things, but they don't want to acknowledge it. And I think that is our biggest block, is our own selves seeing it, but refusing to acknowledge it to get through it to the other side. And sometimes it can be painful. It can be, uncomfortable, but it's like once you get through it, and I got to tell you, I've been working on this snake thing for years.
I feel
So,
you, girl. I feel you.
there are things that, it doesn't necessarily, some things can be like, just snap at the finger, it's gone, and other things can take a while. I think it's our judgment of where we are supposed to be in this spirituality realm, instead of just
Yep.
allowing ourselves grace and ease. And what do you think, Teresa?
Absolutely. I think that's again the thing is we're too hard on ourselves.
Hmm.
We look at other people and go, well, how come that person's there and I'm here? It's like, well, because that's their journey and that's not, they've been through things you haven't been through. And knowing that, this whole lifetime is just a continuation of cleansing and clearing and processing and whatever you're doing it and however you're doing it, it's nonstop. And so, again, just finding the right people, the right things that support you, and understanding about your spiritual part, your mind, and your body part, and they all go together.
Yes. So many times people ignore what their bodies are saying to them. Our bodies are speaking to us all the time. I would like to say that again. Our bodies are speaking to us all the time.
What'd you say?
I know, right? Right, Teresa, right? So
Yeah.
it is constant. It is creating for me that connection to hear my body, give it its space and time to speak to me. Because if I continue to ignore it, I don't know about you, but occasionally an illness will happen or
Absolutely. It's one of those McFly.
no, yes.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
and back to I want to just mention a bit about the people not sharing with others or having people to share with about weird things that happen because I guess I'm just an very open person. So like we go to a lot of metaphysical fairs and expos in the Midwest, and girl, people will come to me and they'll tell me like the craziest stuff you'd ever heard. And I'm like,
Yes.
yeah, okay, I believe you. And they're like a deer in a headlights. So like that's it, Trisha. Like finding your tribe, your peeps, your peers that you can talk to, that you can share with like this, because there's stuff. And again, I share a lot of that in my book of things I've been through. And it's like, what in the heck? When I was hovering over my dad's bed before he died, what? I'm like, I mean, but people do things like that and have experiences. And a lot of people can't share them or don't feel like it because then what are they going to be called? Crazy, right?
Yes.
That's weird. You're crazy. Well, no, hells no, you're not. That these things happen to us all the time. So that's the one thing I really want to emphasize is finding a community, finding, a podcast, finding Trisha, finding people that you even can hear and go, oh my God, I'm not crazy because this person went through that. So that's
Yeah.
a lot of what we share too on Enthusiastically Spiritual. My podcast is that Tom and I dive into stuff that happens to us all the time. Like this is natural that, a spirit will come in and it'll throw me off and I'll be fighting with Tom because, I had a thought about something weird, like just weird stuff that goes on that we just really want people to understand that this stuff happens. This is real and how to make the spiritual part of yourself practical.
Yeah, that is perfect. That can you please say that again?
How to make the spiritual part of yourself practical.
I love it, Teresa, because it's so true. People shy away from it. And I got to tell you, myself included, 13, 14 years ago, I was
Mhm.
like, oh my God, I was hearing so many voices in my head. I'm like, the men in white coats are going to take my crazy ass away.
Right.
Yeah, I really thought,
Yep.
and I was like, I'm done. I didn't know. And I remember one day going, I don't know what to do anymore. Like I was talking out loud. I'm like, I don't know what to do. I feel like I'm crazy. And next thing I know, I had 3 different people contact me randomly on Facebook saying they needed to speak to me. So when we put it out to the universe, be prepared for that response.
Absolutely answers.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, because you were magnetizing that you need some support and help. And yeah, and that thing too about hearing voices, Trisha, and this thing about being bipolar and schizo and girl, there's more to it than what we think. Medicating people, I mean, there's place for medication, there's place for, the medical field, but they have no idea about the spiritual part of it, about the energetic aspect of hearing voices. You're not crazy, right? No. Now, granted, there are some people, I even believe like there's people that just are just off because they're so sensitive,
Mhm.
so sensitive. I have some family members that are like that, like beyond sensitive. So they don't know what to do with it. And if you don't know what to do with it, yes, you're going to be put into probably a hospital. You're going to be medicated. You're going to be, I'm bipolar now. I'm this and that, but it's a whole other, that's a whole other podcast, Trisha. We can go on about a couple hours on that one, but
Yes.
Seriously, there's some stuff that people just don't understand about energy.
No, they don't. And
Yeah.
I remember being like, okay. And I finally, it was like you could hear people talking, but you couldn't hear what they were saying. So I
Hmm.
finally said, you know what? I don't understand what any of you all are saying. So you either slow the hell down or get out.
Right.
and and I was being like kind of sarcastic because I'm like, well, I'm not crazy unless I'm crazy. Like I seriously was going back and forth with it. And
Mhm.
then the next thing I know, it started to slow down. And with everything, with everything, you need to create boundaries of the whens and the hows you want to accept things.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So that's, as a soul and as a being, yeah, you are in control of yourself. No one else can control you or how to work with your energy. It's up to you. And I think that's a big key for talking about, enthusiastically embracing spirituality. It's like, yeah, you make it what you want to make it. If you want to, and a lot of people, though, honestly, don't know what to do, Trisha, except for nowadays. I mean, it's almost like, hello, it's everywhere, right?
Yeah.
Like everyone's talking about spirituality in different realms. And I guess my thing is right now where it's at, though, is that people are either talking about it as a concept, but are they embodying what they're talking about? Are they walking their talk? Like you, Trisha, saying, I've had, and a lot of people have voices in their heads, right? A lot of energy, I hear all kinds of stuff. So what do you do with that? Oh, I'm just freaking crazy. So the next, this lifetime, I'm going to be crazy. Or no, I'm going to learn how to work with this and understand the fact that, I'm an energy being and how to embrace this in a whole different way. So you're not walking around acting like you're crazy, or, I mean, God forbid, killing yourself, right? Because some people do because they don't know what it's all about.
Yes. And they don't feel that there is an outlet. They don't understand it. And they have tried to. I myself have gone to people, Teresa, and
Mhm.
talked to them. And I've been told, well, you should go to the church. Really? The
Oh,
church?
hells no. No, just kidding. Nothing about
Or
church, but
yeah, you are crazy. You need to get into therapy. You need to speak to a doctor because there's something wrong with you. I mean, these were the messages. And a lot of people don't want to come out and say, um, these things are happening to them. Listen, I already know I'm crazy and I'm okay with it, right?
Mhm.
Like you have to get to a point where you're like, all right, this is it, this is okay. And
Mhm.
you know,
Right.
I totally agree with you, Teresa. They really need to find their group of people who will listen without judgment, who will, because not everybody will hear these voices, not everybody will see things. Maybe you can, maybe somebody, like, I
Right.
remember driving and the whole sky turned pink. I was like, well, that's a pretty color. Going, that was interesting. I have
Right.
no idea why, but okay.
Right. Definitely. And, I also want to talk a little bit about, obviously how sensitive we are, right?
Yeah.
So years ago, before I knew anything, I mean, I was young, I was like early 20s, and I worked for a psychiatrist. And so I was his secretary, and he had, I'll tell you, some crazy people coming in. I mean, like people on lithium and really some serious cases. And Trisha, there were so many days there where I was clearly looking back at it now, I can say that I was picking up on the people who were coming to the office that day because Dr. Monosophy, oh, I shouldn't say his name. On it doesn't quite matter. He on so many times said to me, "You're manic. You're manic." And I'm like, "What?" But I was off the rails because
Yeah.
literally I was picking up on people that was coming in the office that day. So this happens to us all the time, these sensitivities. But again, we're at a place now in 2024 where there's help, where there's knowledge, where there's ability to connect with other people who understand where you're at, what you're going through, and you can be a soundboard or you can be, get the support you need. So back then I didn't know anything. And that's part of, like you said too, I mean, the journeys we all go on, we go for decades sometimes, or less nowadays, because there's so much information that these young people coming in who are super sensitive, they're getting a lot of insights early, thank goodness. So that way their journey can be different, right?
Yes. And I love that, Teresa. And I think what's really important is people doing what resonates with them, because I I remember and again, this is all about boundaries, right? Like sometimes I see spirits. And
Mhm.
I remember waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning and there was one. And I said, it is way too early to whatever's going on. You need to come back in the morning.
Mhm.
Like, I think I even gave a time.
That's good boundaries, Trisha. That's damn good boundaries, girl.
Yes, but it's about what I know I want to do. And I encourage people to listen to your podcast. I encourage people to reach out to you because you definitely, delve into this more, I'm sure. But for me, I was at 8 o'clock in the morning, I think I gave them. And let me tell you, at 8 o'clock sharp, I was like, wow.
You're like,
I'm
my
like,
God.
I'm still here. All right, let's do this. Come on. But
Right.
I think it's also so important not to take it so damn seriously.
Absolutely. Yeah, on Enthusiastically Spiritual podcast, Tom and I, we laugh a lot. And
Yeah.
again, like you're saying, each individual, like, I'm obviously I'm different than Tom. Tom's more not intellectual, but he's a regular man, I like I say. He's a regular man that understands about spirituality and works in his guidance.
Mhm.
So he's more of a manly man. I'm more of a, me. And so, being exposed and understanding that, no matter where we're at and who we are, we're all a spiritual being. But yeah, connecting with people that you resonate with and getting that understanding is really key.
It is. It's really key.
Yeah.
It's important. Um,
Trisha, this has been an awesome conversation, honey.
yes, and we could
Good
go on and
stuff.
on and on.
Like hours, but should we?
I
No.
know, but it is about that time.
Yes,
So
I could feel it. I could feel it.
I would love for you to share with people where they will reach out with you to, and I will also be putting links down.
Yeah,
I
and so I said I'll give you the link tree, which has everything on it. You can find our Enthusiastically Spiritual podcast on all podcast channels. We're actually on June 3rd having our 4th anniversary, our faniversary party for our fans, our listeners around the world. So that's exciting. The book is on Amazon, and that'll also be in the link tree. And you can always reach out to me if you want to connect. And yeah, we're here in the Midwest and also around the world. I've got lots of beautiful friends and connections everywhere. So it's been such a wonderful time sharing with you, Trisha. Thank you so much for having me on, because the more people that I can share with about the importance of understanding that you are a spirit in a body with a mind, the better.
Yes. Thank you so much, Teresa, for joining me today. And I'm excited that you were here because you've definitely given a lot of people a lot of things to think about. And as always, whatever resonates, please try and utilize. And, because I think that's so important, checking in with our bodies to see if it resonates. So
Absolutely. Feel first, girl.
feel first, girl. You got it. So thank you so much. I hope everybody enjoys the rest of their Tuesday. And this is an episode of Creating Lasting Change. And within here, you've got a lot of things to create lasting change with. Thank you. Have a great day.